Anime. Okay, I got nothing.
The Final Frontier.
Welcome back to IndieCent, everyone, for our new game grab bag episode. We are changing it from Steam grab bag because I quickly realized that Steam was being flooded with so much low-cost crap that I just didn't want to subject any of us to it. So we'll just be going by themes for these episodes. For this episode, I decided to go on itch.io, the place you go to if you want to find weird indie stuff, and I searched through their entire anime tag and found 7 games that you might find interesting. Unlike last time, these are not all finished games. In fact, I think it's all of these are demos, or if they're not demos, they were like Game Jam projects. And I have to mention that last time I said we'd be looking at a game called Waifu Fight. We will not be this time. And we instead replaced it with a vastly more interesting World of Horror. Long story short, Waifu Fight went out of alpha build, so we can't actually play it now. But World of Horror is right there and should be getting a new demo soon, so look forward to that. And trust us, we're going to have a lot of good things to say about that one. I'm not sure about the rest.
You didn't want to subject us to any bad games, so you just went on to itch.io and picked 7 under anime.
You see, the problem is...
I just spilled some gamer fuel on myself.
The problem is, I did not realize what I was getting us into with some of these. Like, the one I knew was going to be good was Long Gone Days, because I already know about that. World of Horror, which was a last-minute replacement I'm already familiar with, and I knew they would be good for this. The other 5 were a complete mystery. I picked one of them because that looked bad in a fun way, and I picked the other 4 because, well, let's see here. 3 of them looked really gay, and the last one I had no idea. And boy, oh boy, that fucking last one. But before we get into this utter mess of a grab bag episode, let's go over what we've been playing. Why don't you start us off, Danny?
I think then I was talking about my replaying Final Fantasy 15, which I kind of fell off and got put on hold. And the fact that they were like, hey, more DLC or Royal Edition, there's going to be more stuff added to this game, which I knew was coming but didn't know how much, and it's making me like, maybe I'll hold off on replaying it just now. So that's on hold. In the meantime, I got back into Tekken 7, which is still fun. I made myself Nanami Kiryu, so I've just been playing exclusively as her. I've talked about that before. Christmas came, and I got some games, including a couple Switch titles. I got Breath of the Wild, so I've been playing through that again, and that's still fun, but I've talked about that before. I got Doom on my Switch, 2016 Doom, and I played some of that, played about an hour of that, and it's something I'll come back to, but I need to mess a lot with the control sensitivities, because something about it is just not working right now. With the defaults, I need to figure that out.
It is a Bethesda game.
Yeah, it's something about the look speed. I can't quite place what it is. I'm not used to messing around with those settings.
They finally ported Skyrim to the Switch, and they still have fixed no bugs.
Part of the experience. But the game I can talk a bit about is one I started playing like immediately on getting it, and took a break to play a bit of Zelda for a while, but then got back into it this week, and have just been like playing it ravenously. That is Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Oh yes, the titty game.
It bugged me. Like, I wasn't even as interested in this game up until I up until like a little after it released, and I saw some game. I was like, it actually looks kind of fun. Maybe I'll get it. But like even then, that everything about that annoyed me so much. Like it's a bad design, and the people defending it were just being dumb. People were disregarding the entire game because of a side character that you can avoid entirely because she's the result of a random gacha mechanic in it, where you get these things called cores in game, and you resonate with them, and it's basically just pulling gachas in like Love Live or something, because most of the cores just get you common randomly generated weapons that look like stands, and then occasionally you get an actually designed one that's designed by someone and it's a character, and she's one of the ones you can randomly get and just go the whole game without seeing. I haven't gotten her in 50 hours with the game, and people disregarding it because of that. That pissed me off. And even now, because I love this game, this is a really good game, and seeing people disregarding it over that just that annoys me, because it's a really good game. It's honest. I'm loving it a lot more than I expected to. I'd played Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is apparently very different from Xenoblade, and very different from this one. I can tell you that. So I wasn't quite sure what to expect. Apparently the story in Xenoblade gets pretty crazy, and so I didn't know what to expect from this one, and I still don't quite know, but I'm really enjoying it. There's a lot of tropes at play here, but like I was saying, like I ran it on Twitter about last night, tropes aren't a bad thing inherently, and this puts them to good use. It has some it's a ridiculously anime game, and I love it for it. It's a burning heart shonen, and the action directing, the direction of the action in the cutscenes is incredible, and there are some just like really genuinely hilarious bits, and including just like send-ups to what felt like send-ups to like Sentai shows, with just kind of like this, I don't even know how to describe it, characters launching into a mech, and it just felt like the villains getting into their big giant weapon in a Sentai, and it was including one sequence of cutscenes which goes Chuny Team Rocket into Dick Joke into character slapping the protagonist so hard that the protagonist breaks the camera, and then the camera breaks apart as a transition into a battle sequence, followed by Chuny Team Rocket is blasting off again. It's a great game. I highly recommend it to anyone who has a Switch and likes and loves JRPGs. I'll hurry through the last bit. The localization's weird. Feels like a weird kind of localization to have in this day and age of Japanese game popularity, where there's a literal jelly donut moment where a character has a table full of clearly just onigiri, like rice balls, and the characters are like, wow, dumplings, I love your dumplings. Eat your dumplings, Apollo. Eat your dumplings, Rex. And there are a bunch of name changes from Japanese names to different ones. Like the main girl you get, her name is Homura in the Japanese, and Pyra or Pyra in English. Which Pyra makes sense because she's a fire-based weapon. I don't know if Homura also means fire. Then there's another character whose name is Hikari, and it's changed to Mithra. And where's some other ones? There's a string of characters who are like all robots, and they're all named after flowers. One's Hana, one is Sakura. I can't remember what the third one is, but in English they're changed to Poppy, Lily, and Rosa. and it's like you got the same, like the same spirit, I guess. It's just it feels weird in this kind of day and age, especially because all the common weapons get random names and they're all Japanese names, and those didn't get changed. And the last weird complaint is, like, the part of the localization that's good is there's a little heart-to-heart conversation, like an optional cutscene you get with certain characters by having them in your party. And this one kind of circulated on Twitter where Moe got localized to Blushy Crushy, and that's a that's a really good localization. I like that. But in the same cutscene, like, one character's trying to teach another how to be Moe, and so she's like, she turns on her maximum cuteness mode because she's a robot maid, basically, and she's clearly saying, like, she's saying, say this to this person to be Moe or Blushy Crushy, and she's clear, like, I'm playing with a Japanese track because the English dub is, I don't like it. And she's clearly calling, like, the person Oni-chan. And it's just saying, like, she's like, say this to Rex, the protagonist. Call him Rex Oni-chan. He'll like that. That's Moe. And it's saying, call him Mr. Rex in the English. Like, you cowards.
Translator's note: put a pin in that.
Mr. Rex
It'll be important later.
Incest. But I mean, it's a really good game. It's I can't quite place exactly what I think is making it good yet. I'll need to wait until I've gotten more of the story. So I'll assuredly have more on it next month when we record again.
Okay. As for me, I have 7 games to talk about. I finished KOTOR 2, and oh my god, the ending literally was not finished. Even with the restored content mod, where you get the stuff they did finish, there's still a few holes you have to go read about elsewhere. Like, it wasn't even made clear that one of the major characters died. It's just kind of vague. I'm still not exactly sure what happened to the droid, but I think the implication is he's driving your ship at the end. There's just a lot of little weird holes, but overall I really liked the game. I loved what they ended up doing with it in the end, and it's a shame they only had like 1 year of 2 years of development time, I think, maybe less, to actually finish it. Like, they got rushed on that project. They got it at a bad time. BioWare literally dropped out of making a sequel because they saw LucasArts' timetable and was like, nope. Hey, how about these guys we worked with once? But speaking of BioWare, I've also finally finished the first Mass Effect. It was clunky, weird, but I ended up enjoying it quite a bit at the end. I'm trying to think of where I'm going to go with my full course on it. But I also... Oh god, it's hard to explain. But the main plot BioWare came up with all the Reapers and stuff is actually pretty solid, and I like some of the choice stuff they did. Like how you can have 2 characters die on one major planet, and they'll just be gone from the series forever from that point. But at the same time, it never really got over that whole this is kind of fascist problem I had with it before. But Mass Effect 2 fixes that instantly by opening with everyone, with your ship being destroyed, everyone on your crew disappearing, you literally dying and having to be reborn as a cyborg by a terrorist organization, and you no longer are actually part of the military. So yeah, that fixes that. I am amazed how good Mass Effect 2 is. It's like someone on BioWare finally realized, hey, the one thing we're actually good at is character writing. what if we made a game that was just that? And the result is magical. You can literally just... It's like Chrono Trigger, where you can just go to the final area of the game whenever you want, but in this case, you will die if you do that. And your goal is to build up a crew on a new Normandy to go on this suicide mission and try to get everyone back alive. And it's really fun just hanging out with this wild cast of characters. There's like this one doctor who speaks super fast and is constantly going on tangents, thinking out loud. Garrus is now super edgy and like went to an asteroid filled with criminals and just started killing everyone with a squad of like 12 Avengers. And you have to save him in like a fucking raid battle, like with 3 different gangs putting his hotel on siege. And you're just like killing them all on a bridge. And it's just great. And I'm amazed this came from the same people who made the first Mass Effect.
It's a huge step up from Mass Effect 1.
I'm not so wild about the combat not being a broken mess anymore, but it is fun. But I also kind of miss just being so stupidly overpowered so fast in the first game.
When are you getting to the best Mass Effect, which is obviously Andromeda?
To be honest, after playing the first Mass Effect, if I went and played Andromeda, even though I know it's kind of a development mess, I might actually like it because they bring back the exploration bits that aren't in 2 and 3. Because let me tell you, scanning planets is boring as shit. If I'm gonna do something monotonous, at least let me drive around in a spider car. Other than that, I also played another Obsidian RPG. I'm not too far into it yet, but I'm really excited about what it's doing so far. Pillars of Eternity. It was a game they kickstarted a while back, and I'm surprised just how open and how inviting it is to new players. Because it's a classic designed RPG like the old Baldur's Gate games, which if you try to play them now will make you scream because you will die constantly everywhere. But like they have a ton of difficulty options. They have a very thorough tutorial that's a bit annoying, but you absolutely should pay attention to it. And once you figure out what you're doing, it's easy to play. It's satisfying. Stealth actually has a function in this game, which is new. And it has this interesting story going on about this mysterious man in armor collecting souls in this world where everyone literally knows souls exist because science proved it. And it brings up a lot of complicated moral questions. It's hard to describe, but like it's really promising so far. I finally got around... Oh, go on.
I tuned into someone, I think one of the best friends, streaming Pillars of Eternity at one point, and I tuned out after a while because that kind of game is just really boring to watch for me. But I remember he was in the middle of a side quest, a character side quest, whose backstory, like, I'm trying to remember because this was a couple years ago, but it was regarding something about babies being born without souls. And all I remember is that whole, like that whole general concept and the setup was just so cool to me. I love that if that kind of writing is the general quality of Pillars of Eternity, that must be a really great written game.
It absolutely is so far, and it's reminding me of the Shadowrun games, which if you watch video of them, they're boring because a lot of it is text, but if you actually played, it's super involving and just really entertaining. I would highly recommend Pillars of Eternity and all 3 Shadowrun games, except maybe Returns from Harebrained Schemes. Those are the only 4 RPGs I've been playing. Only 4. The other games I've been playing are, I finally got around to Bleed 2. For those not familiar, Bleed was this Xbox Live arcade game made by this one guy that starred this girl with like purple hair running around and trying to kill all the heroes of the world so she'd be the only hero. And she like... It was a stupid setup because none of the bosses actually looked remotely like a video game hero, but like random mini bosses. But it had a cool idea where she could like use bullet time, but it never really grabbed me. Bleed 2 like removes all the long platforming level parts of it and just makes it almost nothing but an endless stream of bosses, like 25 bosses, and adds in a bullet deflection mechanic, and it is one of the most fun games I've ever played. I beat it in like an hour and a half, and I was just mouth agape the entire time. You need to buy this. It's just damn. It takes place right after the first game, and it's just like, okay, now that you're the only hero, you're gonna have to fight a villain. Cue psychic lady from space with an army of space pirates, this cyborg samurai guy, these robot things, whatever, just put it in because it's cool. And it's just this really fast-paced, fun experience that's hard to describe. I kind of want to go back to it because you can actually unlock more characters to play as and unlock new challenges, and it's just really good. I started another Daedalic point-and-click game, A New Beginning, and it's one of their early ones, and you can tell because the voice acting in the English dub is kind of awful. Remember, they're a German company. This is what we're dealing with. And this one's interesting because it's one of their first early, like, serious games. It's a sci-fi time travel story about trying to stop climate change. Yes, really. The same company that made Deponia made the climate change game. And it's promising so far, though the comic book style they tried using for it with, like, living panels looks really kind of terrible. But I'll see how it is when I finish it. And I also played one other point-and-click game that's of special note to me. I think it was made by... I think they call themselves Next Gen Studios. I need to double check this. It's called The Low Road. It's like based off old 1970s TV and spy movies. And it's about a girl breaking into the espionage game, trying to make a name for herself. And it's like super 70s. One of the major plot points literally revolves around the car that runs on water. And what's notable about it is that this game, the studio that made it, was founded by Sky Boys, who, if you are into the Flash gaming scene, is a huge name. He made Defend Your Castle, which basically created an entire genre of video game. He did Stick RPG, which was basically my childhood. He helped make the infrastructure for a lot of those multiplayer games you saw on Flash sites. He was an actual person in the gaming scene who literally changed its culture and what you could do in a genre. And I found out early in this game's development, he died around 2015. So they finished this game in memory of him because it was his idea. So this is technically the last game he ever worked on. And it's really charming. It has this great art style. And it ends with a rap battle with a cult. Who are basically the Illuminati. And I would say get it on sale because it is a little short. But it's well worth it. I had a lot of fun with it. And what about you, Elmo?
Let's see. I'm not sure what that noise was supposed to be. I got 5 things, so I'll try and rush through them. The first thing is I feel like I kind of want to redact something from the 2017 retrospective we did. I'm not trying to change the position of any of my picks for best or worst, but while we were recording and while I was giving Life is Strange Before the Storm my pick as the best game I played all year, the third episode of Life is Strange before the storm came out. And I don't want to say, oh, I changed my mind, it's terrible, but I'd like to kind of redact the unenthusiasm I had. Because it probably sounded like this, because this was how I felt. I basically said it was the best because I needed to pick one game. And I was like, it was pretty good. And, I really liked Life is Strange, and for it not to be a letdown, that's pretty good. Whereas, then I played the last episode, and it's really, really, really good. It's... obviously, with a big story-driven game, I can't really spoil any of the story, but all I'll say is that the final choice in the game, I found it way, way harder than the final choice in Life is Strange, which has people's lives on the line. And Before the Storm doesn't have anyone's life on the line, but it's just a really well-written, difficult choice. And I guess I also wanted to mention something about God of War 3 again, because I kind of crapped all over God of War 3 for its story and its writing.
You were right too.
Being terrible. I was right. I'm always right. But it was just a little thing in my notes that it's not that the gameplay in God of War 3 is bad. It's just that we'd already had God of War 1 and 2 and Chains of Olympus, so I just wanted to make the point that the most fun I had with God of War 3 was that, I'm going to have to move my mic away from a bit of this, was because me and my friend, I played around a friend's house, and we noticed in the first half an hour that Kaitos spends most of the game going, Zeus! So we basically just spent an hour just sat there, just coming up with stories, like Kratos and Zeus, they're trying to repair their fractured father-son relationship. So they go on a cross-country train journey across all of ancient Greece. But one of the train stations is really busy and they get separated and they're both on the train but they don't know where they are. So Zeus gets out his mobile and goes, "Where are you, my son?" And Kratos goes, "Zeus! I'm in the caboose!" And just a bunch of... I'm really annoyed because my friend came up with the best one by far, because he just went, Kratos as a boss in Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Zeus! It's no use! And yeah, nothing I could do could top that. This is the same best friend who, this is kind of the third thing, it's not a game, but I have a 3DS now. I got my 3DS for Christmas. I've mainly been playing Ace Attorney on it, and I need to briefly turn it on, because my friend also installed the background theme on it, which is just one of my new favourite things in the world, really. Let's see, where's the volume on this thing? It's Knuckles the Knuckles. It's the Knuckles song, except every other word is Knuckles. And the best thing is, if you ever move on the menu, it makes this noise. So it's just saying, oh my god, I have the best friends.
The best thing about that is that it's not racist. Unlike the other Knuckles meme.
That does not make me chuckle.
Otherwise, we'll give points to people who changed that meme by just making Knuckles sing this theme song for MASH.
Yeah, I liked the one I saw where someone took the model, but added to it like I don't know the name of the tank, but a Soviet tank, and one of those little fur hats, and just spoke in a Russian accent, calling people comrade. That was a good one.
Yes, more of that, please.
Yeah. I've only been playing 2 more things, and that was... I'm still on a bit of a Game Boy / Game Boy Color binge. For some reason I went back and played Pokemon Blue. So, I don't know why, because I played Pokemon Red like 4 years ago, and they're basically the same thing. When I played Pokemon Red, I had Blastoise, because I'm an idiot. So when I played Pokemon Blue, I thought I'd pick Charizard, just to, again, completely fail in picking up on the themes. It was still fun. They're a bit weird, but they still hold up. I find it... Catching legendaries is so weird in the older ones, because it's easier and harder. because it's easier in the sense that once you get them down to low hit points and like put them to sleep, you just chuck a Pokeball and they're pretty much caught, which is obviously a lot easier than the newer ones. But at the same time, if you don't have anything that can put them to sleep or freeze them or something, then they can have one hit point and you can throw Pokeballs and it'll just say, "Oh, they avoided it," and I have no idea. I have no idea how it decides that, but it just did. Also, I don't want to go on about the missing no glitch, because I'm sure that we all know the missing no glitch by now. But I found out something about it that I never knew. I was looking for Pokemon in the Safari Zone, and obviously it's really difficult in the Safari Zone. It's terrible. That's why everyone hates the Safari Zone. Nobody likes it, and if they say they do, they're lying. But the way the missing no glitch works is when you fly to some town and it loads. There's a strip of water which wasn't programmed to have any particular enemies in it, so it just loads the data of the last enemy you encountered, and so if you talk to some old guy, it freaks out the game. If you're in the Safari Zone and you fly out and surf up and down, you just get a bunch of Safari Zone Pokemon for free, and you don't have to use the bait or the rocks. You just go straight in there, Ultra Ball, catch all the rare ones. Really easy. They should keep that in the newer ones, because the Safari Zone is terrible. And finally, the last thing, I've always been a huge fan of the Wario Land games, but I never played Wario Land 3. It's really weird. Good, but weird. Because like every other Wario Land game, it's really straightforward. Go to the end, and on your way, if you can, get some treasure. And the Wario Land 3, it's like every level has 4 endings with 4 treasures, but you need to unlock the abilities needed to get the treasures, so you have to play every level 4 times, which sounds like a drag, but it's not that much a drag, and it's...
That, and you have to get the powers by getting hit.
Yeah.
Wario Land 3 is literally kill yourself to win.
No, Wario Land 2 is the one where you set yourself on fire and get flattened. Oh, to be fair, that happens in 3 as well. It is pretty cool how you unlock really nice abilities, like being able to swim against the current, or doing some like massive ground pound, but it is a bit weird how you also have to unlock the ability to break blocks with your head.
It's a bizarre game.
Yeah, and being able to swim at all. you got to unlock that. But the one thing I liked is that my friend was able to look up like the minimum time for a speed run of Wario Land 3, because it's a very long game. There's like 25 levels with 4 parts each, and you gotta do them all. You gotta like crisscross to one level, then another level, then back to the first level again. And yeah, it's longer than most modern games. Like the fastest possible route was something like 4.5 hours. It took me longer than Pokemon Blue, and Pokemon Blue is a Pokemon game. So
good God,
that's about it for me.
All right, let's go ahead and get to our main discussion. Come on down. Cue the music. Okay. I'm gonna add the Price is Right theme at this part, guys, so...
Oh, okay, no.
Anyways, let's just talk about these 7 games. I have to say a few of these games in quotations. Oh god, that was grammatically terrible. I'm so sorry. Anyways, as I said last time, we picked 7 games. Waifu Fight is out and has been replaced. So the 7 games we will be talking about today are Anime, the visual novel. I suddenly became a magical girl to fight aliens from another dimension. Koifu no Sekai World of Horror, Long Gone Days, Princess's Maid, Ready Set Parody, and Super Yuri RPG. I don't know why I announced them like that.
I liked it. It was good.
You're wrong. A happy coincidence ended up happening with this list, and that I discovered that if we go in the reverse alphabetical order, we can get the boring game out of the way first. And then get progressively more interesting and good, and then just end with a gigantic shitpost.
Isn't that how we always end things?
I really had no idea exactly what I was getting into with a lot of these. And while some of them were pretty much what I expected, other ones... Oh, God. But anyways, let's just go ahead and get this started with Super Yuri RPG, which should only take like 30 seconds.
So...
You gotta go into the lore and the
I'll
backstory.
start off with my opinion of it, which was I couldn't get it to work on my computer. And that was that. I would hit the launch button, and nothing would happen.
I wrote down all the developers of these games, and the developer for Super Yuri RPG is Kevin Fu 510. They do a lot of small games that look suspiciously like something you'd see in like Newgrounds circa early 2000, which that's not an insult. I love that fucking era of games, and if we can just save all of those games from the coming Flash Apocalypse and just put them like on a Game Boy Advance cartridge, I would be so happy. But Super Yuri RPG was a game jam project, and the gimmick is that you aren't actually controlling the fighting character, you're controlling her girlfriend, who does gay things to give the girlfriend buffs, and that's the game. You fight 4 enemies and you're done.
I like how you've been talking about the game for longer than the game lasts.
To be honest, I couldn't even finish fighting the third boss. I gave up like after 5 minutes.
It was...
And it was just the same enemy as the second one, but now there was 2 of them.
Yep. You missed out on the final boss, who's a dragon. It's an MS Paint dragon. It's very good.
To be honest, that sounds amazing.
It is.
I remember the only actual joke in this game is when you're fighting the male wizard guy and he casts some sort of spell that's like bad for the penis. And it's like, oh no, you don't have a penis. Or something like that.
Story of my life.
Well, that was fun. Let's just go ahead and move on to... Let's just go ahead and move on to Ready Set Parody, and this one's gonna take a while. Holy shit.
I don't know why this... I feel like this game shouldn't have been in here at all.
I didn't fully understand what this was going to be.
This game, it's not... It's like an inside joke someone made with their and their friends' OCs, and you have to know who all these OCs are to play the game.
And that is exactly what it is, and I didn't know.
Like there's like one of the games inside it is like you have to pick the 3 people who can accomplish this task best, but you don't know like the people with the
Angry
with
Birds
the most
one.
gelling personalities, but you don't know any of these people. So to win, you just have to like pick randomly until you get it right. And it's like
there are 20 combinations. I did them.
And then the next game isn't even a game. It's just an extended sequence of these OCs parodying American dramas and K-dramas. And then I was just like, I'm done.
I got a bit further than that, but you didn't do the Jeopardy game?
Oh yeah,
It was
I
incredible.
started the Jeopardy game and quit in the middle of it.
Oh, come on. That one is legitimately amazing.
But it's like...
We should give some background. This game was made by Poison Apple Tales, who make a series of Tomei visual novels. And this was a comedic spin-off they put out with, like, their various OCs, basically.
One of the characters is literally just Sailor Mars.
No. No, it's not. That's the character from their game, just photoshopped into a Sailor Mars cosplay. Literally every character is wearing a costume of some other random character in pop culture, including that one guy who's dressed like Kenny from South Park, I think?
Oh, yeah.
It's just all so confusing. But yeah, they make a series of Tomei visual novels, and they look like the art preview stuff I'm seeing is bad. And after playing this game, I suspect they might be stealing a lot of these art assets. Maybe. It's hard to say. But for this one, they definitely did, because they just outright stole... They outright stole one of those character designs and photoshopped the hell out of it from I talked about this game, Magical Diary, that's right. Yeah, you know, with the weird anime eyes that kind of look like they're from Magical Diary. Oh god, that's why everyone looks like they were drawn in a completely different art style. Oh god, that whole TV segment was terrible, especially the first joke for Breaking Bad. And it was just a pun about rape. Yeah. This was a fucking mess.
This one was a mistake. Like, just a straight up mistake.
There was an entire category where they put the script through, like, Google Translate a bunch of times and just put out the results. For, like, did, like, one movie translation, Romeo and Juliet. Oh, they also did this weird segment of ads, but that did bring about the amazing image of the boy dressed like Kenny saying he doesn't want to be the diarrhea boy. Which almost made this worthwhile.
I have so little knowledge of anime that I didn't realize they were OCs, and I genuinely thought, like, man, if only I knew the presumably famous anime series that these characters were from. I bet that one's probably from Prison School, and that one's from the other anime. I can only name one anime series off the top of my head, and it's fucking Prison School.
Prison School, South Park, and Sailor Moon, the only three anime.
I was expecting this to be some sort of weird, like, app game you would find on a cell phone that has some weird gimmick to it. But no, it's this. I can't get over some of the art in the preview images when you're trying to pick one of the games. Like, one of them's just a googly eye cactus reading a book. Angry Birds. The Angry Birds category.
Like, I think this had the largest download size of any of the games, so I expected it to actually have, like, full-fledged games in it. And maybe it does, but I didn't get it to them. But it was all visual novel stuff what I went through.
Hang on, I took several screen caps and I'm going to start uploading stuff because...
Oh no.
Because...
Yeah.
I'm just going to upload some stuff from the Jeopardy game because we need to remember this happened.
I don't.
Should I? I like muffins. And just random nonsense. And I want to tell you something. That question that's just random nonsense, I got that right. I replied in random nonsense, and it turns out the category saying, like, raise that flag was a reference to how visual novel mechanics in dating sims. And so when a character... like, the entire strategy is just to reply to characters that would want to reply. So if they reply in nonsense, you reply back in nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
And all the characters were mad at me for getting this question right because it made no sense to them. That was the one moment that genuinely made me laugh. That was where the game wanted me to. Well played. The rest of this, I never want to see again.
Yeah, if you like this developer's OCs, I guess this game is for you.
None of them were that. They were all super generic. Yeah. There was the one girl who was the girl in every single Otome game ever made. There was the jerk. There was the jerk who murders. There was the pretty jerk. There was the mean girl. And there was Kenny, the diarrhea boy. This does not make me want to play their games.
Anyways.
Let's just go ahead and get to the next one. The first of these we're getting to that's an actual game and very gay. Princesses Made by Toki Production.
I like the name. I gave it better. Princess Maker. It's a good name.
Actually, Princess Maker is really influential in like circles like these. There's a ton of the raising sim thing is just really fun and simple way to make a visual novel with a bit more going on to it.
This was a good. This one was a Yuri Jam project, and I think it's pretty good for a jam game.
I think this is the only actually complete game other than I Suddenly Became a Magical Girl, which they were apparently planning to add on to later, but they decided to just put it in an art book and work on something else. So this and Magical Girl are the only ones that are complete. Oh, and Ready Set Parody, but let's not talk about that anymore.
I mean, I guess this is... it is technically a complete game, but I would say it definitely needs more to be a better game.
Yeah, but this is just like a game jam project.
Which I would love to see this fleshed out into like a bigger game, because I really enjoy like what's there. It needs visual touches, like real backgrounds, and some of the art needs to be touched up a bit. I did like some of the character art, but some of it was just a little rough, and the writing,
the sister
and
character.
the writing could get rough, and I would, and the stats that they had and how you raise and lower them were good, were pretty good for a jam project, and so I would love to see it fleshed out into a whole game where it's a more complex system. The
premise of this game is that maid that you get to name however you want is getting ready to leave to another country with one of two princesses who are being married off, but she's also really gay for both of them, and they're really gay for her, and everyone's gay, and like you have, I know there's 4 endings, but I only found 2 of them. One for each princess. I went with the route with the sister where you help her make the dress, but there wasn't like an extra ending for that, so I didn't want to bother with the bad ending, so I don't know what the 4th ending is.
Yeah, I only went through and got one ending. I got the ending where you run away with the titty one.
You should have done what's the word I'm thinking of?
The princely.
Yeah, the prince one, because then the titty one ends up lighting the living quarters of the guy she was going to have to marry on fire to create an international incident that will make her no longer a princess, so she can go be gay with a maid somewhere else. Which was fantastic.
Yeah, it's... I think the greatest triumph of this game is after I finished the one route I did, I was like, I need to go watch The Handmaiden again. But it was like 1 a.m. and that's a long movie, so I didn't. I was like, I want to watch this again.
Yeah, I'd like to see this. This developer has a few more games on her page, so I may look up at their stuff for future episodes, and hopefully they'll do something larger in the future, because this has a lot of promise. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, if you want to do this concept in a full game, it'd be wise to add other routes with characters either in the castle or outside the castle, and get more in depth in the political situation. Maybe make the prince characters actual characters, because one of them is an outright dick, but the other one we never really learn anything about him. So I think there's some interesting angles you can take.
Which is the one we don't learn anything about?
It's the one marrying the princess. Yeah, you don't really learn much about him. But we do learn... The other one is trying to kill his bride, though, because he's an asshole. Yeah, this is one I'd like to see a lot more of in the future. Oh, and I really liked all the little scenes you'd get when you do your activity for the moment of the day. And one of them was the maid and the titty princess. I think it was Maria laughing at a servant boy because he dropped a plate, and they were just the text just like, "This is so fun."
You're relaxing.
Or that time,
stressed by Ojo-sama laughing at other servants, and it reduces your intelligence a little.
You also reduce your stress by organizing the prince girl's underwear right next to her while you're giving her doe eyes. She's just trying to bury her head in a book, blushing. Like, more of that, please. That's good content.
I went to all the effort of making the dress, and I got the bad ending anyway. So, I didn't... Yeah, give the game 5 endings. So if you make the dress and you get the bad ending, get the not so bad ending, where you're like, yeah, everything still sucks, but you made a dress. Good for you.
No incest ending.
0 tab.
What is this, young Sheldon?
Oh god, what if the 4th ending is an incest ending? No, it's probably a harem ending. Who knows? Maybe someone out there knows.
Harem ending if it doesn't have the incest element?
These are the questions that we are going to be answering in Season 2 of Young Sheldon.
Please put a pin in... Every time we mention incest, please put a pin in that, because it will be important later. Anyways, going on to our next game. This is the one that we're probably going to do a full episode of one day when it's finally finished. Long Gone Days by Camilla Gormaz. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Hey everyone, I said my catchphrase!
Drink!
Terrible catchphrase! Yeah! Things are getting too spicy
Costco
for the
sounds like a motherfucker.
Anyways, Long Gone Days. I heard about this from a YouTube channel called MC Prophet. And he's this guy who does really good, symbolism videos about video games and going... He was like the first person that helped me understand what No More Heroes was actually about, so yeah, highly recommended. And he did this video on this game development called Long Gone Days that looked really interesting. And yeah, I finally got around to playing the demo, and I'm really interested in seeing how this turns out. It's an RPG maker-made game about a group of child soldiers being raised in this place called the Core, this sort of private military at the center of the earth. And they're sent out into an area in Russia to help the Polish military with a campaign. But the main character finds out after you spend a few minutes sniping off targets in this supposed enemy base that you were actually killing civilians, when he finds a child crying for their life and he can't take the shot, and he decides to defect afterwards. And it brings up a lot of heavy subject matter, but handles it a lot better than I was expecting. Because, it's really hard to do writing properly in, an RPG Maker dialogue system. The only time I've seen it done genuinely well is when I was playing Always Sometimes Monsters, but that relied a lot on monologues and and narration, stuff like that.
As soon as I got the combat tutorial in this game, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I like this. Because I guess what might be the best way to describe it is the VATS system from Fallout, but turn-based. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, you get enemy portraits during combat. It's turn-based, but you can select where you want to fire on an enemy. It tells you the general evasion and how much health that part has. Shooting at the legs can cripple someone. Shooting at the arms can disarm them. Shooting at the head can kill them fast, but it's hard to hit that, and it takes a while to work the body. And then you also have to fight drones at some points, which you have to defeat by destroying their wings because the main body's too hard. And that's just from the demo we played. It's probably going to be more complicated when the game's finally finished. But another cool thing it is the morale system. Since this is a war game and it does treat that seriously, the characters in your party won't feel like fighting all the time because they're just too stressed out or scared, or they're just giving up, and you have to say the right thing to get their head back in the game. And you have to understand the personalities and the psyches of the characters in your party in order to keep them fighting. For this demo, you only have one party member, but it gives you a good introduction of how the system works. I think it was one of the
neatest ideas. And I failed his morality, his morale conversations every time, because he's really pessimistic, and the whole time I was like, okay, I need to boost his morale by being optimistic and encouraging, and every time he's like, what are you, an idiot?
I went the other direction, succeeded every time, because I realized from earlier barbs that he doesn't really care much for idiots. What he does care for is, some form of pragmatism. How do you say it? Yeah, pragmatism. So if you say we won't know until we try, he's like, okay, fair point. He's not super excited, but he'll get his head back in the game and focus on the battle. Stuff like that. I also really like how threatening the core is as villains, because the moment you defect, they think they have it all figured out, and then it turns out there's a third camp they didn't know about, meaning the core is also lying to their own soldiers in their care, except for a certain few, like the ones that go after you. And you're suddenly faced with these really aggressive people who want to kill you for deserting, and it's a completely different feel than when you were talking with these people before all of this happened. It flips everything on its head really fast, but really effectively, and I'm surprised how well it does it.
It's not as deep, but I like that outside of the RPG fighting bits, there's also the sniper nice segments, because I feel like in the full game those are going to be a little more almost puzzle based, in that you can't shoot a guy in front of another guy or the first guy will run away, so there's got to be a lot of tactics in how you take them out.
Yeah, I hope so too, because that was a neat little game segment. It would be nice to see some strategy applied to it.
It's not officially for sale anywhere yet, but it does have a store page on Steam if you want to put it on your wish list, which I've done.
And of course, the demo's out now, which I highly suggest trying out. This is going to be one to watch.
I hope the finished product is more polished. Just because there was some, when I was trying to run it, there was some, lag on inputs that shouldn't be there with the game. This game should run fine on my computer. And I don't think it was my computer slowing it down. I think it was just the game not being particularly polished.
I didn't have any problems like that.
When I started the game, it paused for 30 seconds before it loaded, and after the first sniping bit, the game closed itself.
Really? I didn't have any problems, and I'm using Windows 10 64-bit, the operating system that literally cannot run any Game Maker games ever made. I cannot play VA 11 Hull A anymore because of the anniversary update. I am not shitting you. literally any game made in Game Maker either doesn't play or plays so wrong that you might as well not be playing it at all. This has been my life.
When I was sniping people and when I could see from the silhouettes that they didn't look like soldiers, and I'd read the blurb that you might be defecting from the core, and while I was playing the sniping bit, I was saying out loud, "Oh, I wonder if this is going to turn into some kind of Spec Ops type thing." And then the game closed, so maybe it just heard me and was like, "Hey, I got your back. None of that pretentious shit."
You enjoy the killing, Snake.
And another thing, I hope this game had some obvious strengths in its writing. Like, I like how it didn't just dump, like it didn't info dump at the start about the core, the state of the world, everything that's happening. I like that they leave that unclear, because that just kind of breadcrumbs it to me. I want to learn more about this world, as opposed to here's how everything is right now at the start. I don't like that. I like being kept in the dark a bit, and but a lot of the dialogue just felt kind of stiff and a bit heavy-handed to me. I don't know how much of the demo was done by the core team, if they've added team on to that, if the demo is just going to be one-to-one in the game, in the full game.
It's not. They're already talking about on Twitter different improvements they've made. I remember, like, they're doing changes to the battle system.
That's good to hear, because this is a nice demo, but I definitely want to see it improved on a bit, especially like with the writing, because the story wants to be a serious story, and I was invested in it, but I want general improvements on some of the writing. So it
feels kind of anime.
Good in spite of itself, and I would like it to just be good. But it is like there were 3 games from this batch that we played that I really liked, and this and Princess Has Made are the ones we've talked about so far. So this was one of the good ones that I'm looking forward to seeing more of.
And speaking of games to look out for, I also did a last-minute addition here for Koifu no Sekai World of Horror by Pantaz. Probably one of the coolest games ever made.
I feel like you picked this one just for me.
I started yeah.
This makes up for making me go through Anime the Visual Novel. We'll get to that later.
Okay, this game is currently an early build. It's still getting another demo's coming out soon. I know that. Apparently, I saw a tweet from the guy making this on Twitter, and he's like, "Finally, a build without a game-breaking bug."
The game crashed while I was playing.
Yeah, this is still very messy, but
the premise is... I did get a route ruining bug.
Oh yeah, with the cultist encounter, and suddenly the game can't load the events.
I can't remember who it was. It might have been the cultist, but I was in a battle, and I won, and I would say, okay, resolve the event, and I would just take damage every time, and then it just killed me.
Yeah, because it thought you were still in the battle. That happened to me a few times. The premise of this game is that it is a game done in like 1-bit early Macintosh style graphics, and it's based off the work of Junji Ito of Uzumaki fame, and a bit of Lovecraft in there. And it is a horror RPG where you will die very constantly, and trying to solve the mysteries of this town and the monsters that hide in it. And it is just the coolest looking thing I've ever seen. There's like some stuff in here that's just directly taken from Ito's manga, including a portrait of himself. He cameos as that one manga creator. He took one of the spiral face scenes from Uzumaki with one of the mirror scenes in here. But there's also a lot of stuff from other sources or original stuff. I don't think that fire thing that in the Greek myth
The library of
story you can
Alexandria.
pick is from like, yeah, I don't think that's from an Ito manga. And I know some of these are straight up Lovecraft inspired.
And this game, like I think, like you mentioned it, like it looks great, and a lot of effort went into the presentation. There are just a ton of different options that you can set yourself for how you want the game to look. Like you can, like you click on options, and there's just a wall of different all name different color palettes you can set for the game to give it all these different looks, and it's fantastic. I wish there had been better window options instead of just the two.
I'm fine playing it on the small window because that's what it was built to do.
Yeah.
That's the native resolution, and it looks best like that.
And but I really appreciate having all those different color palette options, because I being able to customize the game like that, just like, I love the graphics. I love the kind of the lo-fi-ness of it. And there was also like a really lo-fi filter you could apply. I turned it off, but it's there, and a neat little filter if you really want to sell the old Mac experience. And as for the game itself, playing it reminded me a lot about tabletop games.
Oh yeah, I've been on a big RPG kick, and when I was playing this, I was surprised by just how similar it was to like KOTOR in a lot of ways, with all the reliance on dice
Like, I could
rolls.
easily see sitting around a table with friends, all choosing our characters and going down our different routes, like just at a tabletop game, and like spending, like it would be really an intricate tabletop game, but I've played games that could function like this on tabletop, and I like this being a computer game, and I think it would also make a good tabletop game.
The basic idea is you select a character, you select a backstory if you want some added challenge, because it adds a new stipulation to your campaign. You pick a basic difficulty, the type of the key monster you're trying to uncover and defeat, and all that. Then you start your game, and you have to solve 5 cases and then win somehow. But while you're doing that and going through each turn you select a different area to go to, and an event plays out that can be either positive or negative, you never know, and usually negative. And then after doing enough of these events in the right places, you can finish the current case and continue on to the next one. The thing is that while you're doing this, there's also this doom meter building in the background with certain events adding to it, and once it hits 100%, you're doomed. If you run out of either stamina or the mental health stat, I forget what it's called. I know it's not sanity, but it probably was in an earlier
Reason?
build. Yeah, reason, that's it. If you run out of reason, you go to the nut house and you're dead. And so you constantly have to keep track of all these different stats, but in order to heal like reason or stamina, you have to sacrifice precious time and chance increasing doom. There are cards you can collect that can give you weapons, give you allies, but can also become status effects on you, like curse or different types of wounds. You can get healed, but can also bring a second type of wound that's a bit lesser, but might open up into a different type of wound if you're not careful. So you're constantly stressed out and trying to figure out what's the best way to go about this problem. I died a lot. Every single time I died. And I kept trying to play as the idol, and that was a bad idea.
I died a few times, and then in one of the runs, at the beginning, one of the random events that happened was you see there's a policeman who's been murdered. Do you run away, or do you report it to someone, or do you steal his gun? And I stole his gun, and combat for the rest of the game was pretty easy.
But you also lost reason.
Yep, you lose reason for stealing his gun.
Well, yeah,
Even
you're
though,
doing a paranoid action, even though you're correct in that paranoid action.
Paranoid. I steal guns.
That happened to me, and I stole the gun. But I think I maybe encountered combat once in that whole run, and I died because I had just gotten so unlucky that my reason kept going down and down and down. So by the time the combat came around, it was just like almost instant death. The only route I actually won was I was playing as the photographer, because the camera is a good piece of equipment to have. I think it takes two numbers off the enemy's dice roll, and he has a kick that's +2. So basically, you're getting a boost of 4 when you have both. So yeah, that was the only route where I actually won.
I wrote in my notes, Darwin Watterson.
I don't get it.
Have you never seen
No.
The Amazing World of Gumball?
No.
Oh, great! No, at least 7 people out there are laughing. Okay, maybe more, because you have to both play this game and have watched The Amazing World of Gumball to understand what I've just done. Basically, Darwin is a fish with legs.
I see.
He's a reverse mermaid.
Ah, I get it.
In a sense. He got the order wrong. I was like, what the fuck? There really needs to be more cases in the finished game, because I just kept repeating like the hands case, the mansion case.
There's an extras menu, and it's basically card sets, and there was only one listed. Well, there were 2 listed. There was the default, and then there was another one, which was apparently an update to the game. So from what it sounds like, there will be more added, more events, more items, maybe more characters and gods.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have more main cases, so you don't repeat the same 5 over and over.
More expansion packs. This is a game still in development, right? Yeah. So there will definitely be more added if this game's able to be put on market as a finished product, because he's already updated to it to add more.
You just got to work on that stability first before you can really focus on.
I never had the game crash, but I did have that one route ending
really
bug, which was See, it was frustrating, but I actually thought at first that the game wasn't glitching out, that was part of it, that I was just doing something wrong.
Oh, like Internal Darkness, Sanity's Realm.
And I think it would help to have more tutorials explaining everything, just because there's a lot going on at first, and it's hard to kind of wrap your head around.
I feel like there's a lot that I experienced, but a lot that I kind of didn't mess around with.
Yeah, I didn't really understand what the benefits would be, because I hadn't really had it explained to me, so I didn't try it.
It's not the kind of game I would normally play, and normally any kind of game where you can win or lose based on like if somebody else rolls some dice better than you, with the exception of course being the incredible 100% orange juice.
You probably hate Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which is dice roll hell.
Yeah, even though I'm not normally a fan of like dice roll games, I could definitely tell while playing this, like, it's not really my genre, but the genre it is, this is really well made.
Yeah, what it lacks in
it's just really
technical polish right now, it more than makes up for in presentation and writing.
I'll be buying this one when it comes out too, and I would like to share like the scariest thing that happened to me in the game, because a lot of the artwork is really unnerving, just a lot of the random events that can happen. And I got right to the end of one of the stories, and it was the one where everyone keeps falling into a coma, and if the people who go to check on them, they're also falling into comas. So nobody's quite sure what to do, and you go around investigating this case, and I finally got all of the evidence, and I went to the hospital where it was happening, and I walked into the room where the virus had first started, and just the writing here, it was really just, here it is. underscore hashtag hashtag fatal error in action number 1 of draw event for object Q004 underscore coma underscore end underscore normal colon variable Q004 underscore coma underscore end underscore normal dot HH open brackets 100056 comma space hyphen 214
Listen,
I know that the joke isn't funny anymore, but I'm also more than halfway done, so I'm like, well, shit.
Listen, you all keep buying Skyrim. You have no excuse not had to pass on this because of bugs.
I
Yeah,
like
this
that
game
kind
needs
of
better
bugs. I
looking
think
water.
that adds to it. Because I would just be like, I would think that's part of the game.
The fact that it says fatal error, I was it did take me a second to be like, whoa, this is. Oh, wait a second. Oh, that's my computer.
Let's go ahead and move on to the sixth
I'm
game
just gonna
on
add
this
one more
list.
thing that I'd like to see. I'd like to see more correlation between your actions and like what actually happens, because it's like investigate the mansion, and then it says like some random event happens, and then the next thing it's like you got the evidence, and it's like no, I didn't. So I would like to see some like actual correlation to what I'm doing in the mysteries. It's a board game thing, but being a video game, I would like to see more.
If you steal the cop's gun, don't have it lower your reason immediately. Just make it trigger a random event later where you see someone who's dead and they're wearing a t-shirt that says, if only that dead cop had had a gun, I would have been saved. And then your reason drops and you're like, oh, this is deep, it's making me think.
Let's go ahead and
You
move
really
on
didn't
to
like
the
Spec
next
Ops.
game. I suddenly became... I suddenly became a magical girl to fight aliens from another dimension by Mado. And I picked this game entirely because the art style is fantastic.
I didn't realize it was by Mado until I launched the game and saw Mado. And I've been familiar with Mado from her Undertale fan art, which is very good. She loves Alphadyne. And I could see a lot of Undyne in the main character, particularly the shark teeth.
Yeah, a lot of this game is just like a joy to look at. My favorite character is the cat that appears that's smoking to give you the magical girl locket. It's like, yeah, I just want to get out of here. Which is weird because the game ends up going in a very serious direction after that. But anyways, though, it's just a simple game jam, kinetic novel basically because they only finished one route, so you don't even actually have choices to make. But the premise is that this girl starts talking to you about this time about magical girls, like breaks the fourth wall very obviously, starts talking about herself, realizes her school's kind of terrible. She doesn't know what to say about herself. It's just all very awkward, but she's so darn happy about it. And eventually it kicks into her explaining this time she became a magical girl and was really gay with this other magical girl.
It's really short, and there's only one route. The page advertises that there will be more in the full game, but I think you said that this got scrapped.
I looked at the comments, and it turns out this is the only game we're getting, and the rest they're planning to do with the characters is in an art book, and they moved on to the other projects.
That's kind of a shame.
I really wish indie devs were better at explaining changes like this.
That's kind of a shame because
to their audience.
I think this kind of thing isn't for me. I'm not as big on dark magical girl stuff, or I'm not big on VNs in general, and I don't really like the dark magical girl craze, or some of the.
I just realized
What?
what this reminds me of. There's this game on Steam it's a translated visual novel. It's superhero themed. I forget its name, but I remember it because someone actually paid enough money for Linkara to review it, and he liked it a lot, even though it had a pedophile comedic dog.
Okay.
I'm not joking. He keeps referencing that fucking dog. But yeah, basically the game was about coming to terms with the passage of time, and it was surprisingly it used that darkness to actually say something kind of interesting. And there's a tinge of that going on here, but since it's just a game jam project, it's never really fleshed out. Like when the villain mentions they do have a motivation, but you never find out what it is.
Something that's now never gonna come, unfortunately. Yeah, I was gonna say that it is part of some of my nitpicks about it. It was a jam project, so like some of the writing just felt
very
like,
gay.
why does that happen? Or that didn't need to be said. Like, you didn't need to have all of that in there. Like, I did this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And, like, you could condense that down a bit. Or, like, some of it is just, like...
Remember when the blue magical girl rubbed up against the red one, and the red one was like, okay, keep doing that.
I was like,
fine.
That's kind of not... Like, I look at that, and I'm like, that feels like fan fiction writing. That feels like a bad way to phrase it, because I'm not trying to be like derogatory to fan fiction or this game. Again, it was a Yuri Jam project. You don't have time to write. I don't even know if Mato is or has any interest in writing out, like in the trenches writing. I guess getting really in depth. But there.
Could someone bring up the page, because I think it mentioned like the game had a different writer.
Oh, okay.
I remember some of these projects are. I think so. I didn't screen cap the credits, so I can't double check.
But this doesn't interest me much, just because of the kind of I'm not as into the subject matter or just VNs in general. I think it's a shame this isn't actually being turned into a game, because I could see this getting some relative popularity. I think there's enough here. It could draw a lot of people in, because there is a definite audience for this kind of game with this kind of style and subject matter.
Honestly, you could probably just go the Undertale route, since you brought it up, because she has the right style, she has a good eye for fun, simple characters, and she knows how to subvert expectations, so just keep building up with those strengths and turn this into a full-fledged RPG.
I mean, I don't think she has any experience making games. I don't know, but... Well,
she has the experience
with
the designs and writing,
and
I think that's what matters.
The concepts are definitely there, and the character design, the character creation is there. So, like, being able to like gather a team and actually being able to make something bigger would be pretty impressive, and I think could do well. But I also think they could get attention from just keeping it as a VN and coming back to this and actually fledging it out into a full thing. Even if it's not.
Yeah, either direction's good.
My kind of thing of interest. I definitely see the appeal for a section of people online. Like you, yeah.
Like me. I'm sorry, I just like it when the girls are gay.
I do too. I'm also just really hard to please.
I only had 3 words written down for this one, because it was short, it was predictable, it was charming.
That's not 3 words.
Okay, short, predictable, charming. Or just in 2 words.
Or
Peter Dinklage. Wait, Peter Dinklage is not predictable. I retract my previous statement.
On to the next game. And the last game of the night is Anime the Visual Novel by GL Rev. And this is exactly what I expected it to be and more.
I'm going to quote myself here. January 15th, 2018, Twitter user at Anonymizeg says, "Resigning from IndieCent so I don't have to play more of this."
I took one look at this and knew exactly what this was going to be, and I was right, and I'm happy with that. Oh, and I was surprised to learn that the maker of this game is an actual artist with, like, actual, genuine, good art. And her profile has a link to a gif of Kaoru and Shinji from Eva being gay.
I think it takes real artistic talent to be able to make such terrible art. So intentionally. I really mean that. It takes a good mastery of a form to be able to just break it down and make it awful.
Yeah, this is masterful shit posting right here. And that's exactly what this game is. Yeah, I'm Daijobu.
Yeah, I can't even say it's not masterful shit posting because
Remember when you get the true ending and then a giant if you get the true ending where you take the two girls to the party, it's the shortest route. It suddenly stops and a giant rant starts scrolling down the screen like something you'd see off A, complaining about like how they're using a chorus song in the main menu and how this isn't really a game and blah blah blah. And it goes on forever, and I kind of lost my shit by how long it just kept scrolling down. And
that rant was written by me.
Oh no, I actually took a screenshot of some of this. Hang on here. It's probably the funniest joke I've seen in one of these games before. Okay. I'm going to start.
This is definitely.
Let me do my dramatic.
Okay.
Let me do my dramatic reading. I stumbled upon it by looking for anime recommendations on the internet, and I'm really picky about anime because I have really good taste. All of my animes are handpicked, organic, and free range. And then I find this game just floating around or something. I thought, hey, fuck it, it doesn't cost me anything. So I thought, why not? Can't be too bad. When I first fired it up, I listened to the opening music and I'm like, really? 3 question marks. Fucking Aquarius? 2 question marks. I think everyone knows that you Muse master race and nothing can beat them, well, except maybe Johanna anyways, but literally nothing can, and it goes on like that forever.
Okay, no, this isn't me. This isn't me. Aqua.
You know exactly what anime fan would write something like that.
It's pronounced Aqua.
I pronounced it wrong on purpose for the joke.
I know. And I don't care.
Oh, good, they bought it.
So, that one's directed at you. Also, this one's directed at the poster. Muse is great. Aqua's better.
I almost feel so alienated right now.
No, I started laughing at the beginning when you meet your supporting character and she's just like, hey, it's me, your childhood friend. And the text is like, she's my childhood friend, who I've known since childhood.
Oh, wait, I want to read more of this.
Okay.
Because it gets terrible. Literally nothing ever can beat the school idol group with the universe's #1 idol, Nico Yazawa. Call me a lowly god, I don't care. Flat as justice. Holy shit. This game is high art.
I swear this is like a rough draft of what Linkin Park's In the End turned out to be.
God damn it! I can't breathe.
See, I have to agree that despite despising this game, it is a masterful shitpost, because for a shitpost to work, it needs people to hate it. And I'm one of those people.
She has a versatile stand.
Like Pop Teen Epic, it doesn't work if people don't get it. Or people don't like it. I don't like this.
Yeah, I'm okay. Goldman for not paying attention. Arigato for asking.
It's the grating kind of parody and self-loathing that I don't like in anime fandom. And
That's not how I read it.
And it's even worse because I know it comes from someone who doesn't feel that way at all. Like they obviously.
Honestly, I think they were just making fun of people on A.
Probably.
I'd be very argotful. Fucking. Oh god, I have so many screen caps of this, and we didn't even get to the best route. Oh god. Remember when she calls him Oni-chan? Do you remember?
Do you remember the 21st night of September?
I'm waiting for this picture to load so I can start a dramatic reading of the last pieces of that segment. Fucking hell, Windows 10 sucks. Oh god. I'm gonna be honest, I never laughed so hard at a video game in my entire life. I'm sorry. This 12-year-old, who's known me for less than a minute, calls me Oni-chan. And for some reason at this moment, my heart fell into deep despair.
I tried so hard and got so far.
Every time I hear a squeaky feminine voice sing Oni-chan, my mind turns into the encounter with the Yamoto. As our Lord and Savior Hayao Miyazaki famously once said, anime was a mistake, especially Oriimo. Listen, if you know anything remotely about anime, that is the most true statement you've ever heard. I fucking remember when everyone I knew on Screw Attack who even remotely liked anime and like a bunch of people who didn't were watching that fucking show, and I was warning them, guys, it's gonna end with incest, and they're like, no it's not. And then come the fucking OVA. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my entire life. No, everyone realizing, oh god, we watched a show about incest.
I really hope that one day, I don't know what kind of job you would have to get to work at the guy who writes down the dictionary definitions of things. But I want to go there so that I can come to incest and just put the quote, dark side. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
God damn it. Oh god. Oh, remember he has that fucking Joylene poster on his wall? She has a versatile stand. ... Translator's note, a giant paragraph explaining what JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is. So yeah, Anime the visual novel. It's good. And I think we just killed Danni into silent rage. Let's move on and just give the list of what we from worst to best. It's that time. Improvising. Like fist on the table, I don't know. Danni. Do the list, Danni.
Best to worst?
Worst to best.
Oh, worst to best.
I wonder which one is going to be your worst. I can't imagine.
I didn't actually have a worst to best prepared.
I don't either. I'm just doing it off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, worst is anime the visual novel. No. Actually, no. The
Super
worst is
Yuri
Ready, Set,
RPG.
Parody.
No, I think you mean Super Yuri RPG.
No, the worst is Ready, Set, Parody.
Okay, fair.
Then, anime the visual novel. Then, Super Yuri RPG, which I couldn't even play. Then,
it's not even like the third worst, and you couldn't play it. Wow, those other two.
Harsh.
And then I suddenly became a magical girl. Long Gone Days, Princess Maid, and World of Horror.
All right, Elmo.
I also didn't have anything prepared, and
Just wing it.
as much as I literally, I am reading from IndieCent notes in a document titled IndieCent fucking weeaboo anime trash. And, but to be honest, all 7 of these, Anime the visual novel made me laugh once or twice. Whatever you can say about Reddy's parody, I did get the feeling that it was a project where they enjoyed making it. Magical Girl had a cute story. Super Yuri RPG was really short, but I like the idea of having a support only control. That'd be interesting. The fact that you're not controlling the person doing the fighting. Princess's Maid was incredibly charming, and I loved that. And I'm gonna go back and get the other storylines. World of Horror was fantastic, and Long Gone Days is on my wish list. So I'm just gonna say that as someone who openly has no interest in anime, I actually got something positive out of all of these.
I did the impossible, everyone.
Well, also, to be honest, I was half watching Prison School while I was playing all of these, so that was really what swung me.
Anyways, I think I'm gonna put Super Yuri RPG on the bottom because I didn't realize it was that short. Like, the idea is cool, but that's all it is. I'm gonna put Ready Set Parody right above it. Unlike you guys, it didn't make me mad or disgusted or anything. It was just like, wow, this exists. This really exists, huh, guys? The fact this exists, I think, is ultimately a positive in the universe, because that means... Okay, I don't know where I was going with that, but it exists. And it had the googly eye cactus, that was good. And one good joke, and the diarrhea boy line, so time not wasted. Oh, God. I'm unfortunately going to have to put Magical Girl next, because there's just not much to it, but I really love that art style, and I really want to see the idea expanded on. I'm probably going to do the weird thing here and put Long Gone Days like in the middle, because I want to say I was generally positive to all these games for the most part, and I see a lot of problems in Long Gone Days, and I'm going to be watching it, but like nothing about it really captured me like with a lot of other games I've played of this type. Like, this ain't no Always Sometimes Monsters or something like that, but I think it has the potential to be, so I'm going to keep my eye on it. Then I want to, let's see. Okay, yeah, next is Princess Maid, which is very gay, highly appreciated, and I like to see it expanded into a full game or see more from Tokyo Production in the future. Really interested in that. I'm going to put Anime the visual novel at 2. I'm sorry, but no game has ever made me laugh that much. It's just so fucking spot on with my entire experiences with anime fandom on the internet. I don't even interact with anime Twitter anymore, because this game is the worst of anime Twitter, and I hate them all so much. So very, very much. But, there's also a lot of humor in the game that's not just quite as mean-spirited, like when it's pointing out why harem leads exist, or when it's just doing the translator note stuff. And like, as someone who's translated stuff on my own, I won't tell you what. But as someone who's translated stuff on my own, I have made like translator pages explaining my decisions. It's like, okay, that is something I'd probably do. And then, of course, number 1 is World of Horror, which I'm super excited to see finished one day. That is one of the most promising games I've ever seen. And it's inspired me the next time we do one of these, then I'll probably go into, like, the alt games for abstract tags and find the really weird shit with the cool old-fashioned graphics. But yeah, I don't think I need to say any more about World of Horror. It's pretty fantastic. And it will be more fantastic once it's not crashing and having that one fucking bug with that one encounter that makes the entire campaign impossible to finish.
You need
Please
to
fix that. Thank you.
You need to put a screen cap from it in the thumbnail for this, just so people can look at it and be like, "Oh, I see. I get it."
I'm gonna do a collage thing like I did with the last one. All right, and that leaves us with that should be everything. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tell us what our next regular episode is gonna be on, and then it'll be Danny's turn to pick, and then Elmo's. But for my pick, I went with This Is the Police, which I talked about last episode shortly. It is a game I've been meaning to get around to finishing. It has the voice of Duke Nukem in the lead, and is honestly amazing. It's a game about a police chief, 250 days or so away from retirement, trying to stay clean for that remaining time and get his pension, but his life is falling around him, and he's getting dragged into political and criminal conflicts, like being forced to help out the mob, and you're just trying to keep him out of the fire, as while the game is also kind of screwing with you through random events and the just general goings on of the police force. It's stressful, it's beautiful to look at, it's classy as hell, and I think it's going to be a really interesting start to the year for us. So yeah, This Is the Police next episode. Any final words? If any of you say, "Yeah, I'm Daijobu," I'll high five you.
Jolene
I'm still
is
reading
great.
the big.
She is great.
I'm still reading the big text blog and trying to work it out to get it to in the tune of "In the End" in my head. It starts with stumbled upon it while looking for some anime. No.
Don't ever do that again.
Stumbled upon it while looking for some anime.
I know I'm not some sort of weird pedo. Nico is the best skill idol, and that is absolute definite and I mean, she's really good.
I find this game just floating around or something. I thought, hey, fuck it. It don't cost me nothing.
He makes some good points, even if he is... even if he's flawed.
Come back next time.
ways.
Come back next time, and I'll be very arigato. And that's where we cut off.
That was our best ending.